already been shared. I was thinking about it 14 years ago, almost to the day. I went to Esalen for my first time and walked into what was then called the Dance Dome, what is now called the Leonard Pavilion. How many of you have been in there? It was my first time in there, and I was like, what did I just do? Maybe I should find the door. I was a corporate refugee. I had just left major corporate America. I worked for, used to be Anderson Consulting, Accenture, and Intel. So, you know, big corporate experience, and I'm like, yeah, these people, who are these hippie? Why am I becoming a hippie? What just happened to me? I walked out of that dance dome changed woman. And I was like, where do I get more of this? Because I felt like I was a kid in a candy store, like I was playing. How many of you, like, dance makes you feel like you're playing? And we need that energy. So I went back to school in 2001 for a PhD in somatic psychology, which is also mind-body psychology. And thank God it wasn't very academic. I mean, it was, and I had to write a dissertation and the real thing. But we were highly experiential, and I got to move my body and roll on the floor and feel like what that felt, and breathe and walk on all kinds of different surfaces and feel how it felt in my body, and eat a tangerine really, really slowly and notice how it felt in every little fiber of my mouth. And this is amazing. So what did I do to make money while I was doing my PhD? I was working at the Haas School of Business, where I'd done my MBA as a career advisor. And all these MBA students would say to me things like, how do I choose between BCG and McKinsey? Which is like, how do I choose between, you know, this pencil and that pencil? It's like two companies that are so the same. And I would say, would you be a guinea pig? Will you let me try out something I just learned in my mind-body psychology classes? And they'd be like, yeah, sure. And I'd put one in one hand, and put one in the other hand, and tell me how they feel. And they'd walk out of that session going, oh my God, Susan, I know the answer now. What did you just do to me? And I'm like, I didn't do anything to you. I'm not a shaman. I'm not, oh my God, what's a shaman? and I'm like, how do I even language this whole thing? So I start working with these students, and they start asking, can I send my boyfriend to you? Can I send my wife to you for career coaching? And I'm thinking, yeah, sure. I hang out my own shingle. This is back in 2001, and have people come in my living room and lay on my living room floor, and I'm like, okay, now what are you feeling? Not many of them came back. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I say this to you because I'm so clear in what has gotten me into corporate, back into corporate. And mind you, I didn't sell when I was in consulting, so I didn't know how to enter a company, didn't know what to do. So how many of you want to know how to do that? So the big thing that I learned is to create conscious experiments, intentional experimentation. So instead of having people lay on the floor and, what do you want in your career? What do you want in your career? Come on, don't you know, roll a little and see if that comes back. They were like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. What I started doing is I started thinking, what would I love to take into a company? And let me create a teeny tiny pilot workshop of that, either for free or very low cost, with a few people who might be from that kind of environment. So 3 years ago, I created a workshop called The Conflict Shift. And I tried it out. Why? Because I was having all these women tell me, I hate conflict, and I thought back to my management consulting experience and the conflict situations I'd been in and what had helped me get out. And I put together this workshop, and I had 7 women who came, and I very intentionally told them, you are getting this at a super duper discount, because in exchange for your participation, what I really want is to ask you a slew of questions to find out how this was for you. And when I asked them after the workshop what they learned, I was listening and taking intent notes, and I asked if I could record it, so I had the notes, and I started listening for the words that they would use to take this into their company. Because they sure as heck were not going to go back to PG&E and Abbott Labs, where I wound up taking this eventually, and say, yeah, I learned how to come from my heart, and I learned how to hug people I didn't like. I mean, we didn't do that in the workshop, but they were not going to say those things. They were going to say, you know, I learned some pragmatic tools so that when I wind up in an interaction with somebody very difficult, I can diffuse that interaction. Language that they could use, I could use. Oh, wait a minute. So flash forward, I I take this workshop, I start doing it one after another, taking it to places where I can do it for free or low cost, low charge. And then I take it to HR West, major HR conference here on the West Coast. We taught it here this last March in Oakland. And I'm teaching it again next March. I'm really excited, I'm thrilled. But I had to submit a proposal, and I knew what language to use in there. And I had in there specific testimonials from people I had worked with, and I had a couple of places where I made sure that I videotaped the workshop, so I had snippets to show, and boom, I had a whole kit. So I'm presenting at this conference. I'm having the best time talking about villains and victims and heroes and how to change the dynamic in conflict. And afterwards, I had a line of HR reps wanting to talk to me. And I'm like, whoa! And one of them said to me, I have an executive who is in a really tough place. She's the last woman standing on our executive committee at this biotech. And I thought, I've been wanting to move more from career coaching to executive coaching, and it's kind of been happening with some of my clients. But she was the one who made things happen. I start working with her, and all of a sudden she starts sending people to me. And what I start realizing in that, and again I'm watching, and I'm doing conscious experimentation, is wait a minute, how come I'm working with all these sensitive women? Oh, I'm sensitive. I realized that I've always wanted to do this work to heal sensitivity in the business world. Right in front of my nose, because I made myself sick with stress in corporate. That's why I left. But now I'm getting to go back in. And what I've done is a bunch of either free or discounted sessions with highly sensitive women who want to come into their power in the business world. And I surveyed all of them, so I have all this data so that now I can go back. So yesterday, just yesterday, I had lunch with the two HR reps, the one who brought me into this company and the one more senior to me. And I said, so I'd like to pilot, ding dong, this word, I want to pilot a workshop where I get to help people who work with sensitive people know how to work with them. Oh, we have an offsite coming up in November. Maybe you can speak there. Maybe you can work with some people. That's how I start. That's what you want to do. You want to start listening for those kernels. Start speaking their language. But you do it through conscious experimentation, intentional experimentation, where you learn the language, where you get testimonials, where you try it out so that you don't just walk into a company and go, I dance here, and you're like, that's nice. That's the door. You don't want them to do that. You want them to say, you've worked with all these people already. You have this video. You know our language. You speak like us. Please. They bring you in that way. So my advice to you is if there's something that you're wanting to start small. Do it in your, do what I did, in your living room the first time. The living room strategy, start small. Pilot it. Get people's feedback. Get their real life experiences, their words. Videotape it. Take pictures so you have something, a portfolio to show people and say, I've done this already. Not I'm going to come into your company and do something that you might find really weird and woo-woo. The way I felt the dance dome was like this woo-woo place. You want to turn them into hippies that they really want to be on the inside? You've got to start with language that will help them to feel comfortable. You've got to start from where they're at. And the biggest thing I can suggest to you is conscious experimentation. I'm happy to talk to you all about that. I'm happy to talk to you about sensitivity in the workplace because I'm on a big campaign to turn sensitivity into a strength. I know that you all can do this. It's really through starting small and letting it grow. Thank you.